Hello and welcome everyone! If you are new to this channel, I feel like this is one of the first times, maybe since when I first started my YouTube channel, that I'm going to introduce myself. But if you're new here, my name is Devyn Crimson. I talk about vintage fashion, music. I mostly focus on like 60s and 70s are my favorite eras, but I do take a lot of inspiration from many different eras in fashion history. I love the 1920s, as you can tell. I love the 80s as well. I love like 90s. So if you're interested in those kind of things, make sure to subscribe and stay in the loop. I'm in 2 bands as well. I play bass and sing for the Knee Highs, which was my first band. And then my second band, the Jet Girls, just released our first EP. So if you're interested in some music, you should go check that out. We just released our 3rd single with the Knee Highs maybe a couple months ago, but we have a whole album out as well, and I'm working on our 2nd album. I do a lot of this, a lot of that, but mostly here we talk about vintage fashion and music, some lifestyle stuff. But if that's interesting to you, it feels really weird saying this, that's why I never introduce myself, because I like to just think that I'm here talking with friends that already know me, not like people who I need to introduce myself to. But I thought that maybe I should once in a while. So anyways, today we're going to be talking about some basics that I feel like are must-haves or will be really helpful if you're trying to dress in certain vintage aesthetics. So I have 5 different aesthetics here that I'm going to go through. Like I said before, I mostly focus on like 60s and 70s different styles. So those are the kind of eras that we'll be sticking to, just because that's mostly what I have for clothing and mostly what I know for knowledge. And I also wanted to say that you don't really need these things if you're going to be dressing in this aesthetic. It just works better for like a YouTube title. It's catchier that way. But I don't think you really need anything specifically to dress in a certain aesthetic. So this isn't like a list of things that you should go out and buy right away. I feel like part of the fun with vintage fashion is that it is like slow fashion and you find things over a period of time. I've been dressing vintage for 11 years now, which is mind-boggling to me, but that's how I've gotten a lot of my stuff. And honestly, I've gotten a lot of it just given to me by people who know that I love vintage and want the clothes to go in a good space. So if you're just starting out, you know, enjoy the process. Go slow, figure out what you like and what you don't like, but don't feel like you need to go, I don't know, to like Forever 21 or H&M and buy a bunch of stuff all at once. I feel like that kind of defeats the purpose of this whole like subculture and what a big part of it is, which is creating less waste and just trying to reuse things as much as possible. Even if you are buying new, you know, just using it over and over again. I have so many things from like high school, middle school that I still wear regularly. So this is just supposed to give you like some ideas of some things that you should look out for if you're going for a certain aesthetic. Maybe give you some inspiration of some things that you want to get eventually, or some ideas of what to look for when you're out shopping. But the biggest thing is just to have fun and enjoy your style. At the beginning of this video, I also want to address the dangers, so to speak, of trying to fit into a certain aesthetic. Number one, it can be super constricting to your own creativity and your own personal style and your own freedom as a human being to have multiple likes and interests and styles on like a day-to-day basis. And I feel like it's only natural for us as human beings, multifaceted creatures, to, you know, want to try out different looks, to have different styles on different days depending on, you know, whatever you're feeling like. So don't try to just stick to one aesthetic if that's not where your heart is. If that's where your heart is, then, you know, do that. But don't be afraid to step out and just do whatever you like. Just beware of those dangers. It's also kind of dangerous to try and fit in an aesthetic, because I feel like certain aesthetics get trendy at certain times and people hop on that and go full force with that, and then wake up one day and realize that that's not the aesthetic they want, and they feel like they have to toss away all of the stuff that they just had to start over. I feel like aesthetics can be a really good way for people to explore and figure out what their personal likes and dislikes are. So if you're still at that stage where you're, you know, dabbling in different styles and aesthetics, hopefully this video will help you out and give you a good starting point if you're interested in any of these. And then, like I kind of said, you know, just feel free to mix things together, add other things that you like with that. Okay, I feel like that was a really long intro, but also that it needed to be said. I'm just trying to speak to my younger self here, like if I was 11 years ago just starting wanting to dress vintage, the things that I would want and need to hear. So without me talking anymore, literally it's been 16 minutes. I'm gonna have to edit that down because no way we're doing a 60-minute intro. Let's get into these different 5 aesthetics and some basic kind of items that you should be on the lookout for when you're perusing the stores. So I picked some of my favorite styles from the 60s and 70s. I feel like these different aesthetics, styles really helped shape my current style. I feel like I pull inspiration from all of these when I'm dressing. So we have mod. Then we're going for late 60s, and I'm talking like 68, 69. We're gonna go with some glam. Biba, the last Wanderlust. So I've pulled some things from my own wardrobe to kind of use as examples. A lot of these things that I'm going to be naming off are unisex. Honestly, my view of clothing is that it's genderless and anybody should be able to wear whatever they want. But I know that not everybody has that mindset. So I will be sometimes saying like for men or for women, but just so you know, I really think if you want to wear something, you should wear something, and just keep that in mind. If you're a guy and you are wanting to dress vintage, I'm just gonna give you this tip right now, this hot tip. You're gonna wanna look in the women's section a lot because a lot of the silhouettes and cuts are more feminine and the clothes were tighter then. If you especially are going for like a rock star kind of aesthetic. So first up, for a mod kind of look, a good beautiful basic that you can get like anywhere would be a turtleneck. Honestly, turtlenecks are so versatile. You can find them basically anywhere. It can be styled in so many different ways. It is a unisex item, like literally, and they're just classic. Like it also can fit with so many different styles. This is another fun one because this is like something that you could find a lot of different places, and again, anybody could wear this. Some fun like geometric shaped glasses. I don't know if these are really considered geometric, but like, you know, the round, bigger like bug eye glasses, not like Janis Joplin round. I'm talking like more of this kind of a vibe. These kind of remind me of Kurt Cobain as well, but definitely like a mod 60s move. These are another cool like geometric sunglasses. These I got off of Amazon, but I wear a lot. And if you do have to buy something new, I would just say keep it forever and wear it as much as possible, and take care of it, you know, because not everybody has the luxury of being able to find things in their size, find things in their area, afford other things that are like online on Etsy. I mean, sure, there's a lot out there online, but typically online retailers tend to be more expensive and it takes a lot of time to go out in person and find things. So I feel like the most important thing is just to use your stuff as long as you can. Little scarves, I feel like little scarves are a great accessory. You can wear them in so many different ways. Again, a unisex thing. You can wear it off on the side. You can tie it more with a V shape going down. You could wear it in your hair. The opportunities are endless. So find some good scarves that you love. I feel like a black skirt is a must. This paired with like the turtleneck and some tights and those sunglasses is very like Sharon Tate vibes. Bonus point if it's like a corduroy or suede situation, because I feel like those were fabrics that were very popular then. This one I got thrifting, but it is from Zara. It can just be styled in so many different ways. You could literally wear it like almost every single day. Sometimes I go through a phase where I'm just wearing my black skirt over and over and over again, and it's because it can be styled in so many different ways. And if not black, if black isn't like your go-to neutral color, it is mine. You know, a brown works just as well. I feel like getting a belt with like a square belt buckle, I feel like I see these all the time in old pictures. I don't know what to call this cut because it's pretty straight, but I feel like it's not like normal straight leg pants, you know what I'm saying? And the crease down the front, like if you can find pants with a crease, very 60s and 70s. The tag inside is not very helpful, but they are like polyester pants. They're kind of like a higher rise. White or just colorful tights in general, like an opaque tight, especially like colorful ones or white ones are really great for a mod look. Okay, and then some like boxy silhouettes were really popular for a mod look. I feel like this fits in as well. Stripes were super popular, and this is like a vintage 60s tunic. I got this at a flea market in LA. It's super cute. Also a mock neck was super duper popular, which this has as well. All right, now we're diving into the late 60s. I love the late 60s style. It's got kind of like this returning to earth, kind of darker, grungier, less caring kind of a vibe to it. And I feel like it's from like leaving 67 in like this burst of time that was like colorful, all you need is love, everybody love everybody, blah blah blah, peace, hippie movement. And I feel like that just got tiring really quick to people, and a lot of people saw through like the kind of facade that it was. There were definitely some good people in the hippie movement, but a lot of people I feel like hid behind that kind of a name. I mean, we're all just people, right? Like nobody's perfect, and I feel like that time, like 67, and especially with hippies, it was like everybody just love each other and accept each other and everything's fine and everything is love and light, and it's like that's just not the reality of life. I feel like it just got really tired and played out super quickly for a lot of people, and that's why after 67, like it was kind of dead, you know? Like maybe there were still a lot of like hippies around and people doing hippie stuff, but it's like that time had come and gone, and it wasn't really what it was anymore. Especially once the 70s hit, people kind of went the opposite direction from the hippie movement. You hear it in music and see it in the style a lot. So anyways, I feel like that kind of started blossoming in 68 and 69, my favorite years in the 60s. Getting into some style items that I feel like would be great for someone's wardrobe if you're just trying to get into this style. First off, we're gonna start with layered pants. So we're not into like bell-bottom 70s, you know, where it's like starting up here and getting much bigger. It was like the kick flare. There's a difference between flared pants and bell-bottom pants. Converse, you'll see a lot for a more kind of casual vibe. These are Andrew's pants. I wear them as well. They are like that kind of kick flare, that slight flared jean. These are also corduroy, which is, like I said before, a really popular fabric of the time. So look out for corduroy stuff. These are also low-rise, which I feel like a lot of people associate low-rise jeans with the 2000s, but low-rise jeans were all over in like the late 60s. You know, it's not for everybody, but don't discount a low-rise jean because they were around then and they were very popular, especially adding this with like that square belt buckle. You're in like Flynn did. And next we have like vampire piratey flowy ruffly tops. When I'm thinking of this, I always think of Ringo. I'm pretty sure it's in the Get Back documentary. So popular. Men and women alike were wearing, you know, these very feminine, frilly, like Victorian, Edwardian, you know, a good vampire flowy little ruffly top is great. And I feel like it can really elevate an outfit from just being jeans and a regular top. You add this and it just looks a little more like high fashion, a little more put together. My friend Steph gave me this, and this is like a cool little vest. I feel like they had fun, cool elements. Their style wasn't just boring, even though it was like a lot tamer after 67, which was like, you know, the wild colors and patterns. It was still very fun, but in a different way. I feel like vests are a great way to accessorize too, because totally unisex, can be worn over a lot of different things, dresses, tops, worn on its own, blah 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 blah. So look up for some cool vests. I feel like longer dresses and skirts started to come into play as well. There were still mini skirts around, don't get me wrong, but I feel like we were starting to see more of like the longer silhouette. You can see it especially with a lot of like Aussie Clark. Okay, and lastly for my notes of things to look out for if you're going for like a late 60s style. Again, a lot of these things are gonna play off of like earlier 60s styles, just because people didn't just throw out their wardrobe when a new decade came in, you know? Like, they were reusing a lot, so you could see like the little geometric colored glasses, which were definitely popular. And with that, I feel like some fun coats kind of hung around and stuck around, like some suede ones. This one's really fun with the fur trim on it. I feel like this is definitely something that you'd see somebody wear. Lots of fur coats, and you can find them secondhand like all over the place. Don't buy new fur, you know, we don't need to do that. There's a lot that's left over that we can continue using and save from a landfill. This is faux for sure. This is definitely faux. I got this thrifting, pretty sure it's like 90s or early 2000s. This one here kind of plays off of like that idea of what I was saying, where people didn't just toss out their wardrobes once, you know, 1967 was over and they didn't want to be all you need is love anymore. They kept their stuff, they just pivoted a little bit, which I feel like is kind of like what I was saying in the beginning. If you want to change aesthetics, you keep your stuff and you just find new ways of styling it. Maybe you get a few new things here and there, but it's mostly just getting creative and figuring out how to wear things in a different way. I could see this being a piece that somebody had in like 67 and then they're just continuing to wear in 68, 69. I just think that they would style it a little differently, like maybe wear more muted tones underneath, a little more disheveled looking. Everybody's a little tired and worn out from the swinging 60s as it's coming to a close. But my friend at Saudade Vintage makes this beautiful coat and she sent it to me, and I think it's so cool. I feel like it really captures the spirit of like 67, especially with this multiple little closure, which reminds me of like a marching band person, very Sgt. Pepper-esque. Alright, now we're on to Glam, which is early 70s, so hopping again forward a couple years. So number one I have down, and I have a lot of examples of this here that I'm going to pull out at different times, but metallics. I feel like metallics were super popular. I mean, what else is glam besides like a metallic fabric? Over the top, texture, color, those kind of elements I feel like were really important in the glam style. I've got this right here, which is a vintage dance set. I wear this on stage a lot. It's shorts and a tube top, but this tube top especially is giving me glam vibes. Also very like disco-y, which I feel like the two can kind of go hand in hand in certain ways. Sequins, like I said, anything sparkly and shiny and just like stage wear. And especially with this style, guys, you're gonna just want to look in the women's section, because all of these rockers were all wearing women's clothes. Like, that's just how it was. For shoes, platform shoes were like all the rage. This is one of my platforms. Jeffrey Campbell sent me these. Scarf belts, which is just like another rock and roll thing to do. Honestly, you could probably add this into like the late 60s style as well, or just thin scarves in general, which are super versatile. So no matter what, I feel like you should just have a couple or look out for some when you're out and about, because you can wear it in your hair, you can wear it around your neck, you can wear it as a belt, you can tie it on a bag. Like, there's a million things to do with these, and they fit in basically every single style that I'm gonna be naming here. I feel like the tight t-shirt really started to reign at this time. Like a casual kind of look with some really tight bell-bottom high-waisted jeans. Very like glam rocker off-duty kind of a look. I have no idea where the pants that I was just pulling out went. Normally I keep them with the top that matches, but it's okay, I'll use the top for another example of something. The bell-bottoms, the high-rise, they were here, they were in action. So these ones I got off of Depop. They are Sugar High Lovestone, which is a super cool brand. All their stuff is super expensive, but I had been looking for these pants forever and I found them on Depop, and I added a shit ton of patches onto the back and front, one on the front, but these are great. I feel like it's such a good staple to have at least one good pair of bell-bottom jeans, just because it can be worn in so many different ways and you can do so much with them. Keep them basically forever, you know. Also for pants, which I just thought of now as I was looking, the bell-bottoms, but also not the bell-bottoms. I feel like at this time, some like tight little skinny leg jeans and pants came into style. Maybe not jeans, but pants like this, like the disco pants. These ones are not vintage, but I have two other pairs that are vintage. I have a black and I have a gold pair. Okay, I feel like some tie tops were really a thing. I don't know what it was. Again, it's kind of like going with the disco vibes. Just tying a top. It can just be any regular button down. It doesn't have to be like made specifically like this one is. This is from the Hippie Shake. But you can just take a button up top, button it, you know, however much you want in the front or not at all, and then just tie it. You have a great tie top, and I feel like that was really, you know, in style for the time. All right, the last two different aesthetics that we're going to talk about here. We've got Biba next. So let's hop in. One of my favorites, and I feel like this one goes really hand in hand with glam because a lot of the glam artists of the time were shopping at Biba. So kind of a play off of that, but with a couple other more specifics that I'll talk about now. So I feel like blazers, like kind of that dandy style, that kind of reminiscent of that a little bit, kind of like a Granny Takes a Trip vibe, but lots of opulent kind of fabrics and colors, more of the rich dark jewel tones and earth tones, especially jewel tones. So I feel like this velvet blazer of Andrew's is a great example. Long dresses, kind of going off of like that late 60s. And they were really going for like a 20s, 30s, even some 40s revival. Feminine silhouettes. Lots of sheer flowy fabrics again, this one especially. Animal print was another really hot pattern, I feel like, for the Biba kind of gal or guy. Lots of flowy lengthening silhouettes, so like wider leg pants, you know, the long skirts and dresses, little hats, like lots of metallics and sequins. Boas were super popular. This is a non-feather boa, but you know, feather boas are great too. This one was sent to me by Babyond as well, if you saw my last video. But just kind of like extravagant over the top, which is why I love Biba. Lots of flowy cover-ups, like I already said, very feminine silhouettes. Another flowy kind of top. It's a poncho, but you could wear this as a top and like cinch it in at the waist, like opposed to the mod look. I feel like the Biba look would add a belt to the waist. Of course, more platforms. I mean, the bolder the better. Okay, and the last look here is a Wanderlust, which is kind of combining a few different styles, I guess you could say, but like if you're meshing them all into one. So like I said before, this could kind of go with like a Stevie Nicks look. It's taking some inspiration from the GTOs, some from Heart. So I would say like early 70s, late 60s, you know, free spirit kind of a person. So lots of like light layers and light fabrics. This dress, which I got thrifting, It's a burnout velvet, which is another really great fabric to look for. Miss Pamela, when I was talking to her of the GTOs, she said that burnout velvet was one of her favorite fabrics back in the day. And I can agree with that. I think that it just looks absolutely gorgeous. Lots of flowy scarves, flowy light layers. This scarf my mom gave to me. She's had it literally forever, but I love it. So pretty. More of the sheer. Again, very feminine. Kind of like piano shawl type scarves too, such as this. Wear it over your shoulders. You tie it around your waist. Lots of big sun hats or just straw hats in general. This one I've had since I was in 7th grade. It was like the first fashion hat that I bought. I remember just feeling so fab in it. So that, or just any kind of a floppy hat, you know, keep you out of the sun. This is also a very like almost famous, I guess, kind of style. I feel like they modeled their character styles off of like actual 60s and 70s groupies who had this style. Like I said before, Stevie Nicks kind of had it too. Just very free spirit. Baby Buell kind of had this style as well. But like a good pair of denim jeans, great staple to have. And while this style is very feminine and dressed up and kind of extra, I feel like it's only natural that you'd want to have some kind of like basic, and I feel like it looks really cool to have more of a feminine dressed up look paired with just a pair of jeans. Kind of like Jane Birkin style, you know? Like wearing jeans but not in a boring way, you know what I'm saying? And especially if you're on the road, which this style is just supposed to give that kind of vibe, I feel like you'll want some kind of a basic pant just to have along with you. Going along with the sheer fabrics, also ruffles, really great, little ruffly vibe. Layering, just in general, like layering clothes to get a different look, layering accessories such as belts. So I have 2 belts here. This is a vintage conch belt. Putting together different things that you wouldn't think to go together, like more contemporary pieces with more vintage pieces or antique pieces. It's a very eclectic look, and that's why I feel so drawn to it, I feel like. Birch wanted to be a part of the video, or at least say hi. He's been meowing up a storm. Look at this cute little boy though. Oh, my baby. Finally, for this last little thing that I'm going to give as something to look out for if you're looking for this kind of style is just vintage lingerie. Like I had mentioned before, Miss Pamela said that the GTOs, and you can see it in photos, would wear vintage lingerie out all the time. Like slip dresses, slip skirts, bustiers, bras, whatever. So I've just got a bunch of slip skirts here. This one I think is really cool because it's like half sheer with all these little ruffles. Love wearing that with some boots. Got a black one here, another classic, a little bit longer, which is nice. I have this shorter one which I ruched up on the sides for one of the knee-high shows that I wore it. Just with the safety pin because I wanted it to be shorter. And then this little pink one back here, which like screams GTOs to me. This peach kind of color. It's got this gorgeous little lace all along the hem. But those are all of the inspirations that I have for you to find some, you know, must-have items for whatever aesthetic you're going for here. Remember, these are just ideas to kind of get you going as you're on your style journey. Some things to look out for. You definitely don't need to have any one of these specific things. I feel like part of the fun of dressing up is just doing what feels right to you. And aesthetic is more of like a guide and a way to easily search things on the internet nowadays, which is very helpful in a lot of ways. But just don't feel like you need to be confined to one thing or that you need X, Y, and Z to be a part of this aesthetic, because that's fooey. So just have fun, enjoy. But again, thank you so much for watching this video. It means so much that you guys stopped in and want to hear what I have to say and my recommendations. Sending love out there. Let me know if you have any videos that you're dying for me to make. I always love hearing suggestions from you all. I'm sending lots of love, and I will catch you in the next one.